Seeking a moment of calm away from the bustle of politics, Justin Trudeau rose early one weekend for a solitary hike in the lush forests near a remote Canadian town. Thin rays of sunlight filtered through the canopy, and the fresh smell of pine needles and damp earth offered a welcome change from office corridors. As he hiked along a winding path, the Prime Minister felt an increasing sense of peace. The forest's quiet whispers, birdsong, rustling leaves seemed to remind him of Canada's vast and fragile natural beauty. Little did he know that his calm morning escape would soon turn into a test of compassion and resolve. Half an hour into his hike, Trudeau paused to sip water. Just then, he caught a faint sound, an animal's cry, high-pitched and desperate. He scanned the surroundings but saw nothing. Intrigued, he ventured off the main trail, pushing aside branches and stepping over mossy logs. The cry grew louder, tinged with panic. It led him to a small clearing littered with broken branches and rotting debris, perhaps the aftermath of a recent storm. Beneath the tangle of fallen tree limbs lay the trembling silhouette of a young deer, barely larger than a Labrador retriever, its eyes wide with fear. Moving closer, Trudeau saw that the deer's front leg was pinned under a hefty branch. The poor creature lay in an awkward position, chest rising and falling rapidly. Dry leaves clung to its coat, and tiny cuts around its neck suggested it had struggled for some time. Instinctively, Trudeau checked for any immediate danger. No larger predators were around, nor was the area at risk of further collapse. But the debris was significant, and he was alone. Still, the deer's pleading eyes had cut through any hesitation he might have felt. Brushing aside shards of broken limbs, he resolved to free this frightened animal, no matter how long it took. Trudeau rolled up his sleeves and began clearing smaller branches first. He had no specialized tools, only a pocket knife and his own strength, but he worked methodically, cutting away protruding limbs so the central trunk could budge. Each shift made the deer flinch, a reminder that caution mattered as much as speed. Beads of sweat formed on his forehead as the hours seemed to stretch. The fallen trunk refused to move easily, wedged into the mud below. At one point, Trudeau paused to reassure the deer, murmuring gentle words even though it couldn't understand. The creature's frantic breathing seemed to calm slightly, as if sensing kindness. He took that as a sign. They were in this together. Deep in the forest, unexpected help can appear in the most surprising ways. As Trudeau tried leveraging a broken limb to pry the trunk aside, two local hikers emerged from a distant trail. They recognized him with a mix of shock and curiosity, but when they saw the trapped deer, all else was forgotten. Working as a makeshift team, they fetched sturdy branches for added leverage. With combined force, they pried the heavy trunk just enough for Trudeau to free the deer's pinned leg. A fleeting moment of dread followed. Would the deer be able to stand? Relief flooded everyone when the deer shakily rose to its feet. Although limping, it had managed a few unsteady steps. One of the hikers had a small first aid kit. They used gauze to wrap minor wounds. Trudeau poured some water into a cupped leaf, letting the deer lick it in grateful, timid sips. Seeing the animal safe filled the makeshift team with a quiet pride. No grand poets, just the shared warmth of a life saved. In that tranquil moment, with sunlight filtering through leaves overhead, Trudeau was reminded that leadership often happens in small acts of compassion, far from cameras and headlines. As the deer cautiously ambled toward the forest, stopping once to glance back as if in silent thanks, Trudeau felt a deep sense of connection to the hikers who had become allies, to the forest that witnessed their effort, and to the delicate balance of life in the wild. He exchanged contact information with the hikers who planned to check on the deer's path in the coming days. Before leaving, Trudeau paused, taking one last look at the clearing that only hours earlier had been a scene of desperation. A simple forest walk had turned into a rescue mission, and as he headed back to the main trail, he carried a renewed resolve. Even a small act of kindness can echo far beyond a single moment. In a world fraught with challenges, hope often begins in unexpected corners, like an ensnared fawn awaiting a helping hand in the heart of a silent forest.